The Norfolk and Western Railway, the railroad that won my heart due to its love for steam traction. In this video, we shall cover the entirety of its story, from humble beginnings to its superpower status in the 1950s. So sit back and enjoy. The Norfolk and Western Railway was first founded in 1838 and absorbed multiple, smaller eastern railroads during the mid to late 19th century. The earliest predecessor was the City Point Railroad, a 9-mile short line formed in 1838, which was later absorbed by the Norfolk and Western. In the beginning, the Norfolk and Western, wasn't called the Norfolk and Western, it was called the Atlantic, Mississippi, and Ohio Railroad. The railroad operated profitably in the early 1870s, but like many railroads, they encountered financial problems during the Panic of 1873. At the foreclosure auction, the railroad was purchased by a private banking firm, who had swift ties with the now large Pennsylvania Railroad. In 1881, however, the railroad was reorganized and renamed into the Norfolk and Western, a name perhaps taken from an 1850s charter application filed by citizens of Norfolk, Virginia. At its founding, the railroad primarily transported agricultural products, but the vice president, Frederick Kimball, led the railroad to the Pocahontas coal fields. Coal transported to Norfolk soon became the railroad's primary commodity and led to great wealth and profitability. Between 1883 and 1895, the railroad continued to expand westward through West Virginia with the Ohio extension, eventually ending across the Ohio River in Columbus, Ohio. During these expansions, the Norfolk and Western absorbed 10 smaller short lines and mining operations into itself, covering more than 2,000 miles of track. With the acquisition of over 400,000 acres of coal fields, the Norfolk and Western became known as King Coal, or as I call it, the Empire of Coal. These coal fields would prove themselves as very profitable, and are still in use today by the successor of the railroad, the Norfolk Southern. We now turn our attention to a subject that Norfolk and Western were famous for: its very own Roanoke shops building its own steam locomotives. The company was famous for building its own steam locomotives, a practice rare outside Britain. The locomotives were built at the Roanoke shops at Roanoke. The shops employed thousands of craftsmen who refined their products over the years. The many larger and more refined locomotives, such as the later Y-class variants, the legendary A-class, and the most advanced northern type, the J-class, were built by Roanoke themselves. The railroad's commitment to steam power was due in part to its investment in the manufacturing capacity and human resources to build and operate steam locomotives, and partially due to the major commodity it hauled, which was coal. By 1960, the Norfolk and Western was the last major railway to have any form of steam traction left on its roster. We've already covered most of their larger locomotive classes in their own story videos. I shall link them below if you wish to check them out. Between 1960 and 1982, the railroad saw another boom in mergers with other railroads. The Virginian Railway merger was approved by the Interstate Commerce Commission in 1959, which gave the Norfolk and Western full control of the coal fields. In 1964, the former Wabash, Nickel Plate, Pittsburgh and West Virginia Railway and Akron, Canton and Youngstown Railroad were brought into the system in one of the most complex mergers of the era. By 1970, the railroad operated in North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky, West Virginia, Maryland, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, and Iowa. In 1980, The profitable Norfolk Western teamed up with the Southern Railway, another profitable company, to form the Norfolk Southern Corporation. Today, multiple locomotives survive to keep the history of the mighty Norfolk and Western alive. Some of these include Y6A number 2156, Y3 number 2050, M class number 475, J class number 611, and A class number 1218. Out of all of those, only 2 are operational. 475 is used and operated by the Strasburg Railroad, while J class 611 is used by the Virginia Museum of Transportation and even Strasburg itself. It is unknown if any of the larger locomotives will ever return, with only one of them having a chance at revival. And that chance, as sad as it is to say this, is very slim. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed this short and brief history video on the Norfolk and Western. If you want more, be sure to subscribe, and as always, I'll see you next time.